Hey everybody, I love being in person again because I get immediate feedback on my messages, great questions and conversations. And this week I got a really great email from someone who watched on demand with a question about this past week's message, and I thought I'll just take a few minutes here to answer it. So the question, without reading the whole thing, essentially says, if it's not God's will when something bad happens, why do we say God is in control? And then the tone kind of shifts to a personal situation about divorce where it is not what this person wants. So let me just name two things very quickly. Maybe the best way to think about it is God is in control, but he's not controlling. That's a big difference. He's in control, but he's not controlling. If you think of any authority figure you have in your life, parents, grandparents, your boss at work, you would absolutely appreciate the best way for someone to function is they are in control, but they are not controlling. Being in control means you can count on them. It means that they will ultimately bring about what they've said will happen. It means that they'll intervene when absolutely necessary, but be careful about not over-intervening. On the other hand, someone who's controlling, we usually use the word micromanaging. And, when we step back and think about it, we might instinctively think, I wish God would just take care of everything. But we don't actually want him micromanaging our lives, and he doesn't want to. Because whatever happens when there's micromanaging happening from parents or bosses is we know it gets in the way of relationship, of trust. And that's kind of at the core of what God wants with us. So God is in control. You can say that, but he's not controlling. And I think when you step back and think, you'll say that's beautiful. Now, what happens when we go through tough things, whether it's a divorce or any number of things? And I'll tell you, I think I know the source of where people started saying, it must have been God's will, it must have been God's plan. There's a verse in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 28, that gets read and even translated different ways. And in the King James Version, it was translated one way that I think led to confusion, and the New International Version has translated it in a healthier way. These are the two ways. This is the wall in my office. How cool is this wall? The King James Version says, all things work. All things work together for good, for the people who love God. And the sense when you read that is, everything that happens must be working for some purpose of God and reason. But the NIV clarifies this, and we can have a Bible translation conversation another time, but it says, in all things, God works. And it makes this distinction that there's all things going on, things that are God's will, things that aren't God's will. In the midst of those, what you know about God is he will be working for good in the midst of those. Other forces might be working for evil. And, we go through all kinds of tragic situations that may not have been our choice, our will, if you will, but someone in the situation, maybe your ex-husband or ex-wife, maybe your son or daughter, maybe a friend, maybe a boss, their will was involved. And things that are not God's plan, that are not God's will, happen all the time because of the choices that someone makes along the way. Hope that's helpful to you.